Special call meeting of the Hewitt City Council, 14th day of January, will now come to order. Please stand. Walk it up with lead and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 2, presentation by city attorney of report of employee complaints, city organizational structure, history of how structure came about, city management, policy violations, the results of an investigation of the foregoing and related matters, as well as recommendation. I'll now turn it over to our city attorney, Mike Dixon.
That was a mouthful. I'm going to try to get through this without coughing my head off. I've been fighting bronchitis for a little while. But initially, go to the all-good position and compensation history. I think that's an important thing to address because it's just, it may be standard out here tonight. It just doesn't seem standard to me. And we have a person starting as a part-time intern, and then by May starts as a full-time employee as a special projects coordinator at a salary of $44,512, and I believe that was a created position, and she got to participate in the job description. I think she says she wrote a job description. Then by November 15th, 2015, we're on 5, 6 months there, she's placed over human resources, another grade of $57,305. Then in February 2016, made managing director of administration, and for a long time, I didn't really understand why I was seeing different things, different places, but she did not get the raise for managing director of administration until the budget was set in October 1, 2016, because that position actually didn't, I guess, formally budgetarily exist, but had been created during the budget year. And so there wasn't actually a immediate salary change there. But there was a change to managing director of administration, which she explains to the bank in a September 2016 email that her position is similar to an assistant city manager. And by all accounts, she exercised that authority. October 2016, salary for new managing director of administration position set in the budget. Actually set a actual salary for this. Well, actually identified it first in the budget and then set a salary for it at $75,504. By October 1, 2018, that's our last budget start date. Her salary is up to $79,310. And I say this is that in less than 1 year, starting full time, this all good appears to have arisen from a special projects coordinator to a position that she described as similar to an assistant city manager. Actually, 3 of those months were as an intern, so 9 months. She started in February 2015 as an intern, and then May she starts full time. So whatever that is, she by February of the next year, she's getting made managing director of administration. Because the salary increase not going into effect, 8 18-month increase from going full-time in May of 2015 to salary being set for managing director of administration for that position in 10/1/2016 would be, I think it was a 69.6% increase, salary increase. The increase from going full-time to 10/1/2018 would be a 78% increase. From what I can see, Ms. Aldridge did not have any municipal experience, but what she was getting on the job with this city, had no HR experience or credentials, had no supervisor experience, and was not even out of college a year before being made managing director of administration. Just a couple of emails, that, you know, to kind of show what some of these things that were spoken of. Started working at the city, and here's an email that says, I'm not sure if you understood, I started working at the city of Hewitt last week as a special projects coordinator. My position is a little difficult to explain because I actually interned here and then wrote my own job description. I work directly for the city manager, which just hit me as a little odd. Then we get into February of 2016, and we're just, you know, we're not too far away, and she's saying to the people that do the city's business cards, and the subject says, yet another title. My title should now be Managing Director of Administration. Hopefully that is it for now, laugh out loud. Then we have the new card, Managing Director of Administration. And then I've included, just to show that, you know, that what she felt her job was, just one of the emails that addresses this, but dealing with the bank, my position is very similar to assistant city manager, so the number 2 person, which you know, that's still not even 2 years here yet. I'll go on to questioning all good position. I want to address what I saw to be something that doesn't make sense. I've never seen that meteoric rise in the municipal government. Not without any backing for it. I mean, it's not like, you know, invented some sort of new thing that is great for municipal government or whatever, came in with this terrific amount of knowledge. And so it was a little confusing to see that kind of rise until you understand that there's a relationship between the city manager and this person. Now, there was the next thing that was naturally to be addressed is what happened on all these complaints, and why did they come about, and this. Now, I want to be careful about this because I'm not wanting to say that somebody shouldn't feel slighted by a coarse comment or a inconsiderate comment, or somebody being gruff, or somebody cutting them off during a presentation or whatever. That's bad manners. That's stuff that is bad communication. It's stuff that's bad dealing with your employees. It's not Title VII. It's not a hostile work environment. It's not gender discrimination. council, budget meeting was held on May 7th, 2018. Thereafter, via emails and the mayor's face-to-face visit with Adam Miles, concern was expressed that several positions did not seem to have a functional value in line with the salaries. One of the positions brought up was Allgood's position, which was again a position that was actually created for her. That was created for her because the position that used to be there would have been ACA. This put Adam in an obvious conflict, because obviously he's in a personal relationship with Ms. Allgood, and you know, he's having council members ask about her position from a budgeting standpoint. He appeared to take it personally. And though the council members, you know, you expect that your city manager, that is, you know, advises you on the budget, works with you on the budget and all that stuff, is that you will have a ability to have candid conversations and comments about certain things. That if you can't depend on that confidence or that professional judgment, not releasing things to the other people, then you can't be candid at all. I mean, how do you discuss with your city manager, these are my concerns, if you know he's just gonna run off and tell everybody? Well, it didn't take long, though these council members believe that their discussions were confidential. The one's positions that were addressed were pretty much immediately notified about the conversations, and there were department heads copied with email responses and to councilman's question, and you know, the councilman didn't know it was going to everybody, but we're sending it out to everybody. Thereafter, an impromptu department head meeting was called the day before most of the complaints were filed. Now, before May of 2018, there hadn't been any complaints filed about this council or the mayor by employees. But then all of a sudden in May of 2018, there's a cluster of complaints filed, most of them by Ms. Allgood and Ms. Muskie. A great many of them filed on May 15th. Many of the complaints involved matters in the near or not so near past that if they were perceived as harassment or discrimination at the time, there was a mandatory duty under city policy to report them at that time. Both Ms. Allgood and Ms. Muskie stated in their interviews that they would have not filed the complaints but for the talk of putting their jobs in danger. Which to me, you know, if I'm getting harassed or kicked around or treated like treated in a way that I feel like I'm being discriminated against, I'm going to file a complaint, and nobody's going to have to wait for me to file that complaint until I feel like my job's in danger. The true reason for the complaints becomes pretty clear. Then where they're clustered and how they came about. You know, there's a lot of, right after this happens, there's a lot of activity. stuff going back and forth, a draft complaint here, oh, here's some stuff that you'd asked about. There's a lot of stuff that's gone. But there's enough there that you know that there's stuff, you know, going back and forth, okay? All these complaints start getting filed. Then you have an email where, you know, the day, let's see, it was May 15th, an email from Ms. Allgood with research on how these complaints could arguably be kept confidential. It was emailed to him on May 15th, 2018. And the press release is coming, and Ms. Allgood even let that slip a little bit to one of her professors. Then we do have the press releases. May 17th, press releases, and they're accompanied by 2 generalized complaints that all they say are the words harassment, discrimination, bullying, blah, blah, blah. No facts, no factual allegations, but they got it out there. They got it out there that this is what these complaints are about. And, of course, everybody eats it up. It gets picked up on, and, you know, don't blame the press, because, hey, it's been put out there by us for them to take off with. And let's not tell everybody what the complaint allegations really are. Let's just throw them out there in the press release and leave it to the public and the press's imagination, which is almost always going to be worse than reality. Okay? So, next thing is, first and foremost, no reasonable city manager could believe this was proper. If a complaint is received, especially on a member of your governing body, you're not going to run out and throw a press release. You're going to do an internal investigation before anything about the complaint was even made public. And, you know, degrading your city council in the press only hurts the city. But at the very least, a city manager would vet the complaints and hold a meeting with the council before throwing a press release. No city manager, I'm telling you, no city manager is going to be this out of line unless it's something personal. Because didn't he come and ask the council to approve a press release? There was no need for a press release. I mean, it's not common for the city manager to put out a press release every time he receives some complaint about somebody. There was no need for it. The sole reason for the press release was to embarrass and bring discredit upon the council. And the plan worked. Nobody knew the facts of the complaints, but, you know, most people were more than eager to drag everybody through the mud. That's not to say that this is a perfect council. I'm not saying that. I know they have their problems just like anybody else. And I know that sometimes they say things that shouldn't be said, or were taken the wrong way because they were said the wrong way, or, you know, I can't say anything about that, but I can tell you that when you try to gather up all these complaints and then throw a press release, I mean multiple press releases, even sending it to the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce, like, you know, how far do you want me to take this? Well, it's out in the public, so, you know, might as well release it. You know, that really surprises me. Now, some of these things afterwards are primarily the emails that were thought to be confidential and wanting to go through some things, but, you know, of course, sent around to everybody, and even his response was sent around to everybody, his response to the council. Then we have the May 14th email, that says, hey, we need to have a quick directors meeting, make every effort to attend. May 16th is when we have the email where we're experiencing some difficult issues at work right now. I haven't had much time to read or chat with the city manager about this. I'm sure you will soon hear about Hewitt in the news. This is May 16th. May 17th, all the press releases go out. Some of these other emails, SurveyMonkey, that is the draft complaint, those are just things that we're going back and forth. Just merely show, there's a lot of stuff that's been deleted, but just to show that there was stuff going back and forth to help get these complaints together. This is the research from Katie to Adam Miles that's trying to give him the basis for keeping the factual complaints confidential. You say, why would you want to do that? Well, because if the complaints are not real strong, then people are going to pick them apart. If the mayor didn't tell me thank you when I brought him a cup of coffee and he looked perturbed, you're probably not going to get very far with that. If it's despite the fact that this, I'll say it was a demeaning comment, but it's made to the whole dang room. No, he said it directly to me. No, everybody in the whole room felt to me. But and I'm sure it wasn't meant that way, but it was taken that way. And just various things like that doesn't make sense. Didn't make sense. I mean, he took a picture of me while we were walking around the plant, taking a plant tour. Well, yeah, everybody pretty much ended up in a picture at one point or another because you're taking pictures of the plant. He didn't take a picture of you. He was taking pictures of the equipment. There's a lot of things like that that would be picked apart if they were actually released. Understanding that, and smart. I've got to hand it to him. Understanding that, you just do your news release, your press release. Throw a couple of general complaints out there that have the buzzwords in them, and let everybody go at it. And then there's just an FYI, I'll also be available for comment after 2 p.m. today. Some more press releases addressing some of the policies and procedures. I don't know that a lot of people are aware that we have an ethics policy that says we're expected to act in highest ethical standards, maintain personal integrity, truthfulness, blah, 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 avoiding real or perceived improprieties in the roles of public servants, and never using their positions or powers for personal or professional gain for the employee, a relative, or other person living in the same household. Misconduct, when an employee brings discredit upon themselves, other city, or otherwise erodes the public's confidence or trust in the operation of the city government. Dishonesty, pretty well clear. Conflict of interest usually is talking about with other businesses, but the same concepts apply in your dealings with others. I mean, you should not be in a position of giving preferential treatment or using your public office for private gain. Well, you know, if you're living together and your other's salary goes up, then your household salary goes up. You know, it's not a big jump to figure out. I had went through some of these incidents, and you know, there's things about like the mayor made me shake his hand. Well, at that point, just buck up and be professional, shake hands. Okay? It's not going to kill you to shake somebody's hand, especially when he makes a habit of coming out and shaking hands with people. Or you refuse to shake hands and he shrugged. Well, maybe he was being theatrical, and maybe that wasn't right. And that embarrassed me. But you can also argue it's pretty unprofessional just not to shake hands. I shake hands every day with people I don't trust any farther than I can throw them. But I shake hands with them because that's the way it is. Okay? And especially when they sit on your dang council. And then several things that nobody could ever figure out what we're talking about, the roadblocks, can never find that. Apparently taking umbrage to the fact that a school resource officer to protect school, the mayor made the bad form statement of saying this is the most important thing we talked about, more important than anything else we discussed today. Apparently Katie discussed something before that, and that was a slight against her. I'm sure it was. And then a lot of them are just formulaic. And, you know, that's not to say that nothing in here is there may be childish or boorish things. Again, does not make gender discrimination. Makes somebody needs to say, quit doing that crap, and or handle it in the ballot box. It's not run off and file a bunch of complaints that are going to get dismissed, and then, you know, throw a bunch of throw out a bunch of press releases and hide the complaints until somebody forces you to turn them over. No, I'm sorry, I'm halfway losing my head about this time, but. Now, there was, I will tell you this, because I'm gonna bring it out anyway, is Miss Muskie's TWC complaint was settled by the Texas Municipal League over our vehement objections and very vehement discussions for $20,000. The Texas Municipal League believes in, you know, making business decisions. Sometimes that's hard to swallow because I like to sometimes feel like we can have some principle too, but no, we didn't have that. We made they made the decision that they would spend more money on doing a position statement and reply, that they would spend $20,000 before we ever got out of the administrative part, and still might have to defend the lawsuit. So that was their decision. Doesn't cost the city one penny because they have authority under their policy to settle as long as they're settling with their own money. They can play with their own money, they can't play with ours. And, not a happy camper about it, but can't do anything about it. But, you know, and one reason I did not want to do that is because the TYC complaint that was filed bears no resemblance to the complaints that were filed with the city. Absolutely zero resemblance. This one cup of coffee becomes a ongoing domestic servitude of bringing coffee to the mayor and him talking smack to her as she's doing it. And I did notice that Cassie had the brains not to sign the dang, the charge. I mean, there was nothing in that charge of discrimination that could match up with, I mean, everything was on steroids. It was like, okay, if Cassie said X in her complaint here, let's make it XYZ, you know. And I understand that. I understand you're trying to make your case a little bit heftier. I did ask for the charge to be signed. Everybody should sign their charge of discrimination. Wouldn't sign it, but still, TML decided to resolve it. I don't resolve claims when people won't sign their charge. People won't sign what they're suing for, then I'm not gonna pay them any money. And, but that's for another fight for another day. I didn't really go into much detail on anything else because most of the rest of the stuff is stuff that, you know, can be handled through other means, and you know, I just wanted to give you information that addresses that. Thoughts and recommendations. And first of all, I want to say, even though I've apparently heard that I've forged Julia Ganaway's signature and everything, Julia Ganaway was actively involved in this report. Because the reality is, I know I don't have credibility with some people on this council, and I have credibility with some of you. Apparently Julia Ganaway does. Mm-hmm. So I asked her to sit in with me, and I showed her what I had, and she showed me what she had, and she didn't know a lot of stuff that was going on before she started talking to people, but she didn't even know about the relationship until she had her first interview or was getting ready to come down here and interview. And so there's a lot of things that came up during that. And you understand that she was understandably concerned about retaliation. She didn't want anybody to be retaliated against. And I know that there was a blow up in this council room. That shouldn't have happened, shouldn't have been allowed to happen. Not much way to stop it from starting unless somebody exercises better self-control, but there is a way to stop it from continuing, and usually that's bringing it under control. You have to bring an officer up or whatever, or just keep yelling at him until he sits down. But you can't have that. And there were some, you know, again, I'm not saying that everything was just totally without any basis of having hurt feelings or whatever. But I'm telling you, this does not make the basis for the discrimination claims that you make a press release about, multiple press releases about. Came up with some thoughts. Where interpersonal communication skills are very important. The communication style is gruff or impatient, can be perceived differently depending on the listener's sensibility. You know, hey, depends on how you grew up, what your bosses have been like in the past, what you've been like as a boss, whatever. However, it is almost never an effective style of communication. Training in this area is imperative for the council. I think we need to come up with specific rules of conduct for members of council during council sessions. I know that we probably have some somewhere, but there needs to be a specific procedure on how to handle a situation where a council member crosses the line. Obviously, it's unusual to have blow up like that, but you need to have a backup plan where that happens. And I understand, you know, everybody gets pushed to a point at some time that you can't do it up here. This, when the council actually did finally learn about the relationship. Now, there's things that there was a anonymous letter that came in November 2017, and I've seen in the paper that somebody said the council knew about it. Well, this councilman sent the anonymous letter to the new council, so I'm not sure that he felt like this council knew about it. But regardless, whenever it was learned about, there should have been an ultimatum given that you know, you're gonna have a relationship and be 1 and 2 in the city. One of you guys gotta go. I cannot think of any organization where that would be allowed. And you know, where do you take especially when you've got a cluster of titles like HR director and this and that, where does an employee take any sort of complaint about, let's talk good? Can't take it to her boyfriend, can't take it to HR because she is HR. What are you gonna do? I mean, if somebody is a close friend of somebody, where are you gonna take that? Usually there's some distance person that you can take that to, but employees didn't have that here. And there were employees that were legitimately irritated by the meteoric rise because they've worked their asses off here for many years and not seen the 78% in their whole dang lifetime. Okay? And there was also a lot of people who were mad about why could she go to school during the day but I can't? Well, you know, they didn't have anybody to complain about it to. Usually you'd have an HR director that explained it to you. You know, maybe she's got a special deal. Maybe she's flexing her time. Whatever. It's not to say it's wrong, but at least you'd usually have somebody here that is uninterested that would be able to explain it. More detailed employment policies need to be developed. I mean, you should never have to say 1 and 2 shouldn't be together, but I guess, you know, just like every year I add to the template city manager agreement, new things that I never thought I'd have to say in an actual agreement, like don't sleep with your employees, don't say sexist things, don't, You know, things that you used to think, hey, I can pretty much depend my city managers aren't gonna do. I'm starting to put those in, and along with complying with the code of ethics that they live, that they're supposed to live by. Then also this title cluster problem has to be addressed, because, you know, under the incompatibility doctrine, and it's just more common sense than anything, is you can't hold a position and hold another position and supervise yourself. Usually doesn't work out too well, because very few times are you gonna write yourself up. And so that needs to be addressed also. I didn't want to get into much else. I really don't have the wind to get into much else, but so that's what I wanted to address tonight and present.
Thank you. Item number 3 says.
Do we not have discussion on this?
Say anything.
Do we have discussion on this, Mike?
I'm not gonna answer any questions, Steve.
I'll take that as a yes. We've got a couple of questions for short. You kind of hit around, but you didn't say, what was the May 17th press release?
What now?
What was the May 17th press release
9/17
in your notes? You referenced it 3 times.
I didn't say May.
You
Well,
said
there's
May
press
17
releases.
press
Yeah,
release.
there are press releases.
Right, what was that in regards to?
The ones that I'm talking about are the ones that maybe I had the wrong date, but the ones that I was talking about were the ones that were about the charges, the complaints.
Well, you
Now,
said
there was a later one, I think, that was on your kit, maybe.
Which
But
one?
maybe I got those dates mixed up, but I'm sorry.
May 17th, that's what I was asking. And the yelling in the council room, the blow, what was that? You hear me?
Yeah, yelling.
You said the yelling in the council room and the blow.